What is good, everybody? Welcome to the Crossover Podcast on the Gold Standard Podcast Network. I am Rob Stats Guerrera, ready for a Week 2 matchup with our old friends, the Los Angeles Rams. And I'm very pleased and privileged this week to be joined by Tom Courts of the Rams Up Podcast. They cover the Rams, all things Rams for us at FFSN. How are you, Tom? Thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, great to be here. Great to be here. Looking forward to another meeting of the Rams and the Niners.
Is it great to be here, really, after 8 straight regular season wins by the 49ers? Come on, you could tell the truth.
Yeah, that's a little rough, but that one championship game and then the follow-on Super Bowl makes it all worth it. So we got to hang on to that, but we're definitely in different places now. I always told that all the Niner podcasters and friends and so forth that we got to enjoy it while we can when we're both competitive. It's been a while, and that's not the case anymore. So it was a good run of 5 years or so.
Well, you say that, and yet in week 1, the Rams go into Seattle and stomp out the Seahawks. How did that happen?
I would say more than anything, this is a very young, hungry Rams team that it really is so young that they might not know that they're undermatched, and they just went out there and played their asses off. But I was at that game, Rob. I went up to Seattle, and that Seahawks team did not show up, especially in the second half. They had some major problems. You saw it at the end of the game with DK taking a cheap shot on your old friend Akilla Witherspoon. Mm-hmm. And it got a little ugly. And then they stopped blocking for Geno, and there was sacks at the end of the game. It was nasty work. And you got to put that, obviously, go straight back to Carroll.
So a couple of things I noticed that jumped out to me. First, the Rams could not run the ball at all. If that happens against San Francisco, I don't know how the Rams can win, because the 49ers are built to stop your run game, force you to have to drop back and pass, and then come at you with the defensive line. Do you think the Rams will be able to run on Sunday?
No, I don't. The Rams haven't been able to run for 2 years, even all the way through the Super Bowl year. They couldn't run the ball. So don't expect them to start now. And they just need to be somewhat effective, get average what they average 2.5, get 2-3 yards a carry, keep them honest, so to speak, and keep that crazy pass rush that the Niners have at bay a little bit. But having said that, even without Cooper Kupp, Matthew Stafford lit it up pretty good. And, I would say that aside, probably 2 weaknesses on the Niners are that the right side of that offensive line and the secondary. And so obviously in this case, the offensive line doesn't come into play, but that secondary is, I think your nickel corner, Aubrey Thomas, got benched, if I'm not mistaken, in the second half. And Shanahan was not all that too kind about it in that press conference. So yeah, there's some issues back there. I'm not that impressed with Lenore. I think that Ward is solid.
Yeah, Mooney Ward is definitely solid, but who's he going to have to cover, Tom? Because I see on the practice report that Puka Nacua missed practice on Thursday with an oblique injury. What are his prospects as we sit here late on Thursday night recording this?
Yeah, he's just recovering. He'll be fine. He'll be out there. They're just resting him up a little bit. He obviously got a pretty good workout, 16 targets, 10 receptions, 119 yards. He kind of overshadowed Tutu, but Tutu also had identical yardage, 119 yards. And so, yeah, he's Stafford spreading the ball around to a bunch of new receivers. Van Jefferson could have had a bigger game, but he dropped a 60-yard pass right in his hands. Stafford is on target, and that's what matters. The offensive line held up extremely well. Which is good news for us, given after what happened last year. And so a little bit of protection, give Stafford, 2.5, 3 seconds to find somebody. And I think they'll do well in the air and try and keep them honest on the ground.
Does Stafford look 100% healthy to you? Because he clearly wasn't last year.
Yeah, no, last year he was not. His that arm and his back, he was not healthy at all. This is the first year he's actually had a full training camp with the Rams. He lost some weight. He's rejuvenated. He's out there. It looks like he's having fun again, and most importantly, he's being protected, at least for the first game. So it's going to be a different test. No question. We know that the Niners off our defensive line, the way they run those hockey style lines at us is pretty crazy, and they're all solid. So it'll be a different test for that offensive line for sure. But Stafford is healthy, and he's spreading the ball around nicely.
Before we get to the Niners attacking the Rams, I do want to ask, how big of a deal is it among Rams fans and the Rams themselves, the fact that the Niners have won 8 straight? Does it bother them, or is it like, hey, we got the one that counted most, so whatever?
Yeah, it does. There's definitely a stigma. Why can't McVay, the pupil beat the master, so to speak? And that, like I say, just hang our hat on that one that got us through into the Super Bowl, and then we're able to win that Super Bowl game. So, but there's no question, why can't McVay go up against Shanahan head to head on a regular basis? And so it'll be interesting to see what they pull out tomorrow. If they sit back in their too high shell and keep everything underneath, it's not going to go well. Right? And that's how the Niners have shredded us. The one time the Rams deviated from that defense was in that championship game. And we had Weddle that game. He just came off the beach and to help us go through it. And he was playing safety, and he was up in the box and right on the line. And we flooded, we got 7-8 guys in the box and just challenged Jimmy at the time. And Purdy's a similar type of a quarterback who isn't going to look long most of the time, very often at all. I'm not sure I've ever seen him. Maybe that one throw to Kittle last year, but he's not looking to go over the top, if you will. And so I feel like if they can do that, that's the only chance he got. I'm not saying that that'll work, but got to load the box, keep that run at bay, challenge Purdy to go over the top.
What is your impression of Brock Purdy as somebody that is completely outside the 49ers bubble, totally removed from emotion? Just, you've seen him play now for a little while. What do you think?
He's fantastic. He's perfect for that offense. He's I think he's very much like Jimmy, except for he's quicker. He has that evasive mentality. We saw that blown coverage, and he twisted out of it against the Niners. Who was that rushed him off?
Minka Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, Minka Fitzpatrick. Yeah, he twisted off of that and got it to Debo. So yeah, he's able to improvise a lot better. He's a lot more poised when things don't go perfectly according to plan, according to the script. And so it's a perfect quarterback, obviously, given the depth of talent, these all pros at, so many positions for the Niners. Having a rookie salary quarterback, a rookie deal quarterback is just, very, very important, I think, for the makeup of that team build. And I don't see Shanahan having an expensive quarterback anytime soon. He doesn't need it with that scheme.
Purdy actually called the wrong play on that play you're talking about with Minka Fitzpatrick. So it was a screw up, and somehow he managed to be able to make a first down out of it, which is, to me, that's the most encouraging thing. We finally have someone that can do something positive when things don't go according to plan, because we all know that Kyle Shanahan calls great plays and all of that stuff, but it was like, okay, but nobody bats 1,000. At some point, something's going to happen where you just need to make a play. And Brock has shown, at least thus far, that he can do that, much like Matthew Stafford can. They do it in different ways, but Stafford is the same way, where when stuff breaks down or whatever, he can pull a rabbit out of his hat.
Yeah, he's very poised for a rookie back there. He obviously got a lot of reps at Iowa State, and it shows.
So let's go to the defensive side for the 49ers. If I tell you the Niners are not going to blitz, they're going to rush 4, and they're going to have 7 in coverage against Matthew Stafford, do you sign for that right now, or does that worry you?
I think that I think if they can get home with 4, then that's the way of the NFL these days, right? If you can get home with 4, you got Warner and Greenlaw patrolling the middle of the field as well as anybody in pass pro, and they're probably the best duo linebacking core in the league. And so and then you got your 4 up front, and you're, like I said before, you're just running these hockey lines through with Hargrave and Armstead and Bosa and Farrell, and then all the cast of backups. And so if they can get home with 4 and drop the linebackers into the middle and then drop 5, I think it'll be tough. But I think the Rams, I think that McVay's strong suit is that 11 personnel, spread it out, and somehow, some way he gets people open. So, and again, I don't think that the corners are the strongest lot. Gibson and Fungar, I think, are very good back there. I don't think they're, uber talented at pass pro, but so I think that's where the Rams are going to have to turn, because it's not going to be the run game.
So how do you think McVay goes about attacking this 49ers defense? What should I be worried about watching this game as a 49er fan?
I think he's just going to spread it out and run. He's as good as anybody at creating mismatches in coverage, running guys across the middle, and he's just very. Where Kyle, I think, is extremely good at scheming up run plays off that motion, using Juszczyk and to and Kittle in the pass, in the run game, in the run blocking game. I feel like McVay is that similar type of skill at scheming up pass plays. So it's just going to be an aerial attack, and I think, again, it's going to come down to that offensive line of the Rams. Can they hold up against that defensive line? If they can give him a little bit of time, I think they'll be okay.
I keep telling people too, it's not like Sean McVay forgot how to coach. Like, yes, they had a down year last year, but the guy is still one of the best young play callers in the league. He's only really had one bad year, and part of it was because his quarterback got injured, and part of it was because, you kind of sold out there to win a Super Bowl, which worked, by the way. So I give Sean McVay a ton of credit. I respect him. I think he's one of the best coaches in the league. I think that the advantage that I give McVay over Shanahan is I think McVay realized faster, because I still don't know that Kyle's totally realized this. It has to be both. It has to be your scheme and your players, and input from your players on what they like and what they don't like. The scheme is Kyle's baby. He's not at the point yet where he has a quarterback that he trusts enough to give up some of that power. I think McVay recognized it early on, and I give him a lot of credit for that.
Yeah. I'm not sure that Kyle is built that way. I'm not sure he'll ever end up in that spot, at least with this current team build that the Niners have. Like I said before, it's going to be a rookie deal quarterback with all of those weapons, all of those all pros on both sides of the ball. And there's just not enough money to pay somebody $50 million at quarterback. So he's going to, but if anybody in the league doesn't need one, it's Kyle Shanahan. He needs somebody that can get the ball out quick and accurately, and if things break down, have enough poise to make something happen. That's what he needs, and that's what he's got.
So far, so good. As I've said many times this week, the Niners are in the midst of their second longest winning streak in the history of their organization. So obviously things are going pretty well right now. Before I let you go, though, I have to ask, what's your prediction for the game?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a 7-10 point game. I think the Rams are going to stick around, have some, a little better performance than most people think. I think the line of the game is somewhere in that range. And I think it's pretty close to what it'll end up being. I think that at the end of the day, you got the Niners are going to do another takeover of SoFi. Stafford's going to be on a silent count in his own stadium. That's probably good for two or 3 point swing in and of itself. And unfortunately, that's just how the nature of where we're at is this semi-expansion team coming back to LA after being gone for 30 years. So, but anyway, yeah, I do feel like it'll be just like all the other games. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. And if the Rams can stick around, then make it exciting, then that's what we're hoping for. This is a reset year for the Rams.
Yep.
Got rid of all those all the guys, that Wagner and Ramsey and Floyd and all the way down, all the entire secondary. There's only 2 guys coming back on the defense, a bunch of youngsters, and almost no free agents. Only 2 guys. Here's a nice statistic for you. Only 2 guys on the defense and 2 guys on the offense took more than 50% of the snaps for the Rams last year.
Wow. So they are really turning over this roster.
It's a turning over the roster, and then a bunch of guys that were injured and coming back from injury as well. So it's and so they're just doing a big tryout. 14 draft picks, 14 made the 53. It tied an NFL record, and it's a bunch of young guys trying out to see who can play next year and eat our $75 million cap this year and come back with $70 million on the plus side next year, sign some free agents and make one more run while we still have Stafford and Donald. And that next year will probably be their last year for both of them. So that's kind of where we're at.
Do you think that McVay sticks around after that?
Yeah, McVay had a rough year last year. The first time when he was going to go to Amazon, he was making $7-8 million. He wanted a raise to double that, and they gave it to him. So he really never was going to leave then. Last year, though, after last year, he was pretty emotionally beat up, and he was seriously considering quitting, but he kind of took some time and just decided, hey, just go back to what this is all about, which is coaching up young guys, and it's about the players and so forth. He was really feeling the pressure of trying to repeat as Super Bowl champion and so forth. So he went through it. I mean, this is his 7th year. Stats is he 7th year in the league as a head coach, and he's still the youngest head coach in the league. That's crazy. Wild. That's wild. So he's a young guy, and he went through it. He learned a lot, and he came out positive on the other end. But he's in it for the long haul, and they're paying him well, and I think he's going to see it through.
Well, Tom, we can't thank you enough. Again, Tom Courts, Rams Up podcast out here on the Fans First Sports Network. Really appreciate you stopping by. I wish you no luck this weekend. And, I hope the Rams stink and the Niners make it 9 regular season wins in a row.
Well, great to be with you and looking forward to a good game. And, like I said, we'll try to keep it competitive for the fans and a moral victory for the Rams. But we'll see what happens.
Perfect. Thanks, Tom.
Thanks.